Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the 1% podcast with Garret and Sean. Podcast number 17. We're out here in Spring Branch, Texas, enjoying this beautiful weather. And it's been a couple of weeks, but we are back with you with some good information. We're in the middle of the off season. Actually, we're directly in the middle of fall ball. And so I'm going to give you guys some insights onto kind of what we're doing, what's down the pipe, and talk about some of the exciting stuff that's happened in our world over the last few weeks. But before we get started, Garret, Sean, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Both just got back from some family stuff and friend stuff. One of my guys that I play with at UTSA is getting married, so we had his bachelor trip in Vegas.
Ooh.
Great time. Won some money on blackjack. Enjoy Vegas. It's a fun place for us to go to, and we love going out there. We try to go see Joey Cunha, so anybody that listens to baseball and notices baseball, Joey Cunha is a big hitting development guy, has a facility out there in Vegas. I tried to go see him, but time didn't work out. Sean was on a trip.
We're in Kentucky seeing the in-laws and stuff, so I think it was high of 65 when we were there, lows
Nice.
down in the 40s, so got to bust out the joggers and the sweats and the hoodies, so it was nice though. Guess we brought some of that weather back too with us.
Did you bring any moonshine with you?
He went and saw the Louisville Slugger factory.
Yeah, that was pretty sick. So we got to go in there and see all the different in the bat vault, all the different like legendary bats they have, like Hank Aaron's original model, Johnny Bench, Aaron Judge, all those different things. So it was a good little trip, but we're excited to be back.
Yep.
Well, if that doesn't tell you that these guys are baseball nerds, I don't know what else does. Going to Vegas.
Going to Vegas to go see a baseball facility, right?
and into the land of bourbon to see a baseball bat. But anyway, so tell me, Garret, I guess we'll start with you. You know, what are you seeing? How are things going? How are your teams looking? What are you guys working on?
Man, it's been a good fall so far. I think the biggest thing is right now, like we're at a spot to where Sean and I are learning every single day, just in terms of, hey, how do we get guys better? You know, that's the question that we're always asking ourselves. Like we had an hour and a half meeting yesterday, frustrating meeting. Like this past Tuesday practice, honestly terrible. It was probably one of the worst practices that I've been a part of and that I've run. And I'm not afraid to say that because that's opportunity for us to like get in there and be like, what the hell are we doing wrong? Or what are we not achieving, right? Because that's something that we talk about all the time for us, Sean and I, is, hey, like we have to be the most critical about what's going on. Because if we're not critical about where we're at, what him and I are doing, what our guys are doing, and the results that we're getting, I think you turn into just another team. You know, you turn into somebody else that's just, hey, we're out here coaching and we're taking paychecks and we're just doing it. If we're good, we're good. If we're bad, we're bad. Well, in my opinion, it's pretty horseshit. I think you have to be very critical about what's going on if you want to, not only a winning program, but a successful program. And to us, success is seeing guys develop over a course of 5 years, right? Like we want to see guys walk in the door and walk out a completely different baseball player and being able to achieve the goals that they have, whether they know those goals today or not. Like, you know, in our head, goals are going to play college baseball, being a very successful high school baseball player, and potentially getting drafted, you know, at some point in their career, but setting them up for those goals, right? So, you know, we are working right now in terms of figuring out, like, what do we need to do to be able to get the most out of guys in the fall, right? I think that's a question that everybody should be asking during fall ball is, like, what is the goal of the fall? What are we doing, you know? Because I think nowadays people play baseball year-round, right? And this is what a lot of higher-level, development companies and higher level people talking just about development in general. Well, if you play all the time and you're playing from January 1 to December 31st, January 1 to December 31st year round, and there's no time off to actually hone in on a skill or to make yourself a better baseball player, yeah, you might have gotten better within the game, but your skill set is still the same. You're like the actual skill set that you have, the tangible things that you can do is the same. And so, yeah, you'll go through puberty. You might get bigger and stronger just from natural life stuff happening, but you're not actually becoming a better baseball player. Like you're not leveling up. You know what I mean? To us, the mindset in the fall is let's level up. Let's be a completely different guy walking into the spring. And if we've got 12 to 14 dudes on a team achieving that goal, well, bro, we're kicking ass. You know, like we're going to go in there and throttle everybody, you know what I mean? Just because we're going to be different. So I think that's the biggest thing right now that we're struggling with is trying to figure out, like, hey, what is what is really going to be the difference maker? You know what I mean? Like, how do we get the difference maker to happen?
And I think it even rings true though. Like when you look at college, right? Like you look in day one in college, like yes, you play some fall games, but they're very minimal in relation to what you're used to, but also what you're playing in the spring, right? The entire focus at higher level baseball is just getting in the weight room. Right, and like right now, we don't have the capability, right? We're working on that, getting the weight room and everything set up, but right now we don't have the capability to do that, right? So that's my encouragement to anyone out there that's listening is like, use this time wisely to get in the weight room, right? Get in the weight room, pound some weights, eat some food, and get your body in a position when you go into the spring, like you're bigger and stronger than where you were.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you all have asked? I guess you gave some homework, at the beginning of the season. I know the first practice revolved around here's your workout, here's your homework, here's the stuff that you're supposed to do at home. What's the application look like?
I guess we can talk about structure, like in terms of structure of what we do, right? To us, like if you're this is our focus, right? Like in our mentality, the way that we think. If we are really wanting to get guys better the way that we are, like I said, you can't be playing baseball every single day, right? Like you got to go out there and really work at a skill and try to build on it, right? For us, it's bat speed, it's exit velocity, right? Those kind of go hand in hand. Rotational acceleration or rotational output, and then throwing velocity. Those four things are what any coach is looking for in a higher level athlete. Can they produce higher level stuff, right? And so for us, it's like we've got to train that. And that's what we try to gear the fall towards is train these skills, right? Go for these. But the problem is, and what happens is if you're playing all the time and we're trying to implement that thing, you honestly probably burn the kid out, right?
Or he gets hurt.
You get hurt, right? You either burn the kid out and he's sick and tired of playing because it's like we're making him do all this stuff. And then on top of that, we're going to play every single day. Or just like you said, he gets hurt because the workload's too high.
To add on to that too, it's like, or you see severe plateau and no growth.
Right. And
right?
So
because the workload is so high.
Yeah. And so the structure is, hey, at the beginning of the fall when we walk in, we write out all these programs. We wrote out 3 programs this fall that we sent out to our parents, sent out to our guys. It was explained as elementary as it could be. And hey,
to the athletes.
Yeah, well, and to the parents too. Okay. I mean, even to the parents, like, man, if you go in there and look at those things, like if you actually like are wanting to get your let's just put it in terms of a money perspective. If you want to get your money's worth, all you got to do is go in there and read it. If you have questions on it, use your resources or use Google, because you can look any of that stuff up on Google and type in the exact thing that's said, and you could probably get 1,000 videos on YouTube of what is that supposed to, how is it supposed to be done, and what is it supposed to look like. The sets, the reps, what balls, what bats, when, how many times a week, how much times in one day, you know what I mean? All that stuff is literally put right there, right? And so at the beginning of the fall, we send out these programs, and it's listed week by week, day by day within those weeks of what should be happening every single day of the week. And it pairs to our practices in terms of how we practice. And so our beginning of practice is always like a testing day, right? So we get in there and we test on, hey, what has this kid done the week before, right? Has he done his work, and is the work helping him grow, right? And so that's what our structured practice is. At the beginning of practice, we want to test and track, hey, what is this guy developing on? And then the rest of practice is just generalized baseball stuff, what that individual team is struggling with or that individual age group is struggling with, and what do we need to develop and build on from that point. And so that's kind of the structure of what the fall is. We will add games in, but again, in our head, hey, if we can't punish a guy, right, let's say player X does every single thing on that program. He's a guy that's, because we got some dudes that are doing it every single day. They come in and train. When we're training in Bernie, they come out there, their parents drop them off. They come in and do the work on their own, big time. Like, that's what we want to see. That's our like vision for this organization, is guys are coming in doing the work that's expected of them. Mm-hmm. And let's say player X is doing that stuff every single day, right? Well, why should I punish him by sending him out and playing every single day and potentially getting them hurt when other people are not doing the work but they want to play baseball? It's like, dude, you got to earn that.
Yeah.
In our head, that's what it is. You got to earn the playing time. Now, we still got to play baseball. You got to play the game, right? But, again, playing the game every single day doesn't really do anything for you. Yeah, you might get better within the game, just like playing it wise. Like, if I play chess every single day, I'll probably be a better chess player.
Mm-hmm.
But do I actually know, and am I actually, like, more crafty at the game of chess, right? And I think that's what it is about baseball right here is, like, dude, we got to get more crafty. We have to have more skill. We have to have higher level output to where, dude, we're just throttling people, and guys are just way more explosive and way better than the competition that we face. That's the end goal, right? And so that's the structure of it is we give these programs, guys are expected, parents are expected to help their kids go out there and achieve these daily goals. When in reality, Sean and I tested those out. We tested them out at the beginning of the year of how much time it takes. 45 minutes. If you really get out there and get after it, 45 minutes a day, right, for all the work that needs to be done. And then from there, we pair the practices to it, and then we play games every other weekend, every couple weekends, you know what I mean? And we'll add in inter squads to where we're controlling the workload, but still get to play the game.
Well, to add on to that, too, like, so many of these guys now are playing football.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another
ass beater.
Exactly. Just thing that's just demoralizing the body, right? So it's like, again, we're trying to take care of these guys as much as we can in a way to put them in a position to be successful.
Yeah.
Right? If we go out there, just like you said, and play, there's going to be some benefits from that, but we're not going to see the development that we want that's going to allow them to, when they're 16 and 17, like, be in a situation where they can get recruited.
You know the best feeling in the world is, kind of go off of this, and we'll bring up Coach Hallmark's comment that he used in that podcast again, but the best feeling in the world, I'll like pair it to weightlifting, right? Like, you know, when you go out there and you do this work, you haven't maxed out, right? Or whatever. We can pair this to anything. But you do all this work and build, eat all this food, eat, work. And then you go back to testing day, right? For us, like, we go through all this work in the fall, train, play a little bit. It's like we're holding the reins back. And then you get out there day one and you go test the shit out, and it's like 100 pounds heavier on the weights, right? Like, it's just like, boom, like, it's exploded. That's the goal, right? Like, that's the goal. And I think it goes back to what Coach Hallmark said is, man, guys don't value the win. Guys don't value the game of baseball because we overstimulate them. We give them too much of the game, and they walk out there and they're sick and tired of it. They're like, oh, it's just another game. No, it's just another day. Fuck that. I don't know about you, but every game I walk out to is, this is the most important moment in my life today, right now.
Yeah.
Whether it's a 13U baseball game, 17U baseball game next summer at the Georgia WWBA, it's the most important game I've ever played or coached, you know, because it's got to be that way. But I think kids don't grasp it. So the only way for us to help, like, manage that is just, like, pull them.
Well, in a way, too, like, you start to create buy-in with that. Like, the guys that are coming in and doing the stuff on their own, like, they come out there and it's like they get out there, they hit some PRs on bat speed, they hit some PRs on their throwing velo, and then you start to see the sense of urgency get picked up,
like,
right?
Yeah,
They're hungry because they know they're like, hey, I'm getting better, right? When they get to ring the little PR bell that we have now, like, everyone knows.
Yeah. Everyone
knows, and it just creates buy-in to
and
where
it's
now
the
they
same,
keep doing
it's
it.
the same guys ringing the bell every single time. Right. We got that bell so we could get some energy and just something of, like, again, it's just another thing of, like, FOMO, right? Like, I'm missing out. I need to do my work. But it's the same guys ringing the bell every day. You know, it's the same dudes that we know are working that walk out there and ring the bell, you know. I think, too, like, the piece that I love about how we kind of structure things is you, like I said, you jockey them a little bit because I know how hard it is. Like, we've had guys that, like, we train. We had a kid yesterday come out. God, he's gone from 68 to 83, 68 to 83 in 2 years. And this dude went through probably a dry spell of no PRs for like 4.5, 5 months. And it's hard, man. Like, guy that's training his ass off, eating as much as he can, lifting as much as he can. When I say as much as he can, like, I'm talking like every day. Like, I'm not saying, oh, I'm doing it as much as I can. Like, you know, oh, I haven't thrown in like 2 weeks because this is as much as I can. No, like, this guy's doing literally every possible thing that he can do to get himself in that position. He goes through this dry spell, and then all of a sudden, bam, big numbers. Bam, big numbers. I texted him today. I said, dude, I'm proud of shit of you. Like I am absolutely floored by the changes that you've made and the growth that you've made. And I'm telling you, it's like it's building up and it's compounding. It's just sitting there and it's about to explode. And you're about to be a 90 mile an hour arm like in the next year. Like I know it.
What are some of the talk about that? What are some of the numbers you guys have seen? Like in how much have those kids grown by into the program over let's say the last 9 months?
Are you saying the guy like from
and
what
just in general across the board? Even let's say your guys that work 100% all the time, and then even your guys that are just messing with it. Are you seeing what kind of growth are you seeing? What kind of numbers are you seeing?
I think that's hard to say. I mean,
yeah,
because dude, that's a bad thing. Like one of the parents commented on a post that I made. It's the Barnes, the lady that won the bat. She commented talking kind of just like it was more about like gaining weight and talking about something else. But she had kind of asked like, what about this situation? Like, is it puberty? Is it somebody else? Is it just my kid? And I think that's the answer. It's individual dependent.
Gotcha.
I've seen guys come out here and be with us for 4 weeks just doing like generalized plyo ball training and generalized throwing on the mound because we've never really worked with them before. And all of a sudden, like they're up 6 miles an hour.
Within like every week.
No, not 6 miles an hour. But they're gaining every week. But like 6 miles an hour.
You're seeing growth every week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then other guys come out that have trained for years and they've done all this work and they've barely gained, right? And so that's where we come in and we're like, okay, what do we need to do different? But I do, because you got to change it, right? If the stimulus isn't working, you got to adjust it. Gotcha. But the question too is like, are they implementing that stimulus? Are they doing the work, right? So I think it's hard to say. It's individual dependent. I think guys will get better. How much better? I think it's based off of their training history, how much training they've done in the past, what is their age, how big and strong are they, right? I think it's a very, very hard thing to say.
And the next thing too is like you don't necessarily get to track some of this stuff, but we were talking about this with like the bat speed stuff. Like it's a lot. It's a good amount of swings, especially when you start getting into the back end of the program. But it's like the next thing too, they're like, I told him, I was like, this is going to be a byproduct of this, but the endurance these guys start to build, right? Like we saw it last spring. Like we go out with the 27s, and it's like you go out on Sunday towards like the back end of the season, and it's like, yeah, we played really good game one. We beat the hell out of that first team, and then we get into the second game of the day. It's hot as hell on turf. And it's like guys are just tired. Mm-hmm. Not that they're not playing good. They're just tired. Yeah. The swings start to slow down. Like the motors start to slow down a little bit. But it's like the endurance that these guys build up to be able to maintain their ace swing or be able to maintain really good throws on the mound.
And so I guess just to kind of turn the mirror on you guys, we're talking about the athlete, but you guys have seen a lot of baseball over the last year. What are you doing to maintain your stimulus, and what are some in season adjustments you're making to ensure that your output's still there?
Yeah, I think that's huge. Like, that was what I was talking about on Tuesday. Like, I don't think to this point. I mean, obviously this is mine. Like I've built this, right? And so like I have to check myself at the door every single day. Like, am I ready? You know what I mean? Because I look at it from a consumer standpoint. Somebody's paying me to make their kid better. I have to show up and do that. And when it doesn't happen, like I don't sleep. I left Tuesday practice probably the most disappointed in us and what we've done than I probably ever have running this thing, because it's like we are putting so much and like pouring every ounce of what we have into some of these guys. And it's like, dude, when you don't get that reciprocation, you get floored, right? And so, I think it's stuff like we did yesterday, just like sitting down and like really writing out what are our strong points as a team from lessons and then us, and then what are our weak points, what from teams, lessons, and us, and then what can we change and how, and then what do we double down on? We probably have, like Sean's probably sick and tired of it because we probably have that conversation every month, every 2 weeks, depending on how things are going.
State of the union.
No, it's just like, and like that's what I learned. That's what I learned from Coach Hallmark, man. Was like every day was another sit down, and it was never this just like you hear people talk about business, and it's like oh, meetings are stupid. Well, Coach Hallmark's meetings weren't stupid. Like, if you weren't walking in there with information, like you've done your detailed homework of the day before going in there, like this is why this was bad, this was why this was good, you will get your ass ringed, right? And it's the same thing we do is like, it's got to be detailed, you know? I think on the flip side too is like kind of what recharges us. And I think that's what players need. What recharges you? What recharges that battery? Because shit gets old, man. Yeah. This, like, I think some parents and some players, I know myself included when I was playing, always look for that new thing, right? Give me that new stimulus. Give me something different. Everybody wants that. They want the newest thing. They want the newest iPhone. They want new. I want something new, different, not the same. Baseball is a very monotonous game. Developing within the game of baseball is very, very monotonous. And you've got to get in love with that monotony. You know what I mean? And I think for us, like, it's the same shit every week. It's different players, you know, lesson-wise. Structure might be different that week, but it's the same thing.
And the better you get, and this is like in anything across the board in any part of life, the better you get, the higher, the more you start to achieve, the harder it is to get to squeeze one more
bit.
Mile.
That's exactly what we explain with people too. Like when we're, especially on the lesson side, like when we're doing like throwing stuff, is like, hey, you may come in here, right? Especially with guys that have never thrown plows before, and get 3 miles an hour for 2 or 3 weeks of velo jumps, right? But as you just like we were talking about that one kid, like you start to like make it a habit of doing that, like you're not going to see those jumps. So now we've got to again change the stimulus, change the drill, or start to work on some very minute differences that over time are going to start to build that up.
Yep.
And again, it's not easy.
No.
It's not easy. This stuff takes a long time to get really good at. And for us, like when we were talking yesterday, we just got to get back to what we believe, but also just keeping it simple. Because I told him, I was like, man, I feel like at times we try and do so much, right? We try and provide so much value that it doesn't always like get reciprocated in terms of like the message is clear. Yep. So it's like we gotta get back to simple. Yep. Simple, and like what Coach Hallmark says, right? Like fundamental is what wins.
Yep.
Right? Get back to more like basic level stuff to where the guys are getting more out of it.
And for the parents listening, I know you hear them talking about the team, but when you look at 1% as a whole, right, aside from the tribe, you know, this is a system that can be applied across any spectrum, right? And so, you know, as 1% starts to grow sort of away and apart from the tribe, you know, the system is tried and true, and it's tried quite a bit. So just for you guys listen, I know the application and the discussion surrounds the teams that they're coaching now, but there's more to come.
It's correlating, it's all correlating to anything that you do, 100%.
Okay, and so as we've talked about development, we've talked about fall ball, kind of where that is, and it seems like we're we're right in the thick of it. I left my phone. No, you're on. Perfect. Okay, but talk a little bit about some of the showcases you guys have been doing. I know you got your third one coming up. You've got some kids that have committed. First of all, you know, what did the preparation for the first one look like versus the one that's coming up this weekend? You know, what are you hearing back? What are some common themes? And you know, what should parents of high schoolers come to expect when they're looking at doing a showcase, or either paying for one or going to one with their team?
The biggest thing I'd say, like leading off to any of that, this is for any kid ever, you are always being evaluated every day of your life. And I think people take that for granted. I don't know what it is about kids this age, but they take that piece for granted. You are being evaluated every single day. And for coaches at that level, guys, everybody wants to play college baseball. Like if you're a real baseball player, you know, if you play it for fun, whatever. We're not going to you right now. We're talking to guys that care about this game. Every single one of them wants to play college baseball. And any coach will take the guys that they want, right? But if you're head-to-head and you do one other thing that this guy doesn't do in a negative way, like, right, you do something that just, like, turns him off, he'll get rid of you right now. He'll write you off. He will write you off, right? We showed up to UTSA, and it was just, like, apathetic, lazy, complacent, like, oh, I earned this. Bro, what? No, you did not.
Big time.
Yeah, we're here. Now we're getting to go to these things. We're no shots, So the preparation, it was harder after the first one. Like, we prepared heavily with a lot of intent to be the best that you can be when you walk out there. In terms of the preparation, it's just, hey, we gotta show what's important, right? They want to see you hit the baseball hard. They want to see you command the fastball on the mound, but they also want to see you throw hard. We got a lot of comments about certain guys, and we can kind of dive into that in a second, where it's like, yeah, he throws really good. He's a dog on the mound. Dog. Throws the breaking ball good, but his velo's slow. Here's for your throw strikes community, right?
Yeah.
Hey, just throw strikes. Well, kid pounded the zone, fucking struck everybody out, but 76 to 79 don't play in college baseball. Yeah. And that's what they said. He's like, he needs more velo.
How old is this kid?
16.
Okay, so you guys.
And we love the shit out of him.
Yeah,
he's one of our like guys. It's like he's going to play college baseball, but we've got to get more out of him. You know what I mean?
I think people like UTSA, like, it sucks that it happened, but I think it was a good eye opener for them, because unless you've been in college baseball, in college athletics, higher athletic stuff, it's hard. People don't know how hard it is, right? I had a coach one time when I was growing up tell me, he goes, you think you want to play college baseball.
You think.
He goes, you think. You're getting recruited. He's like, good for you. He goes, but you have no idea how hard it is. He goes, you're going to come back after your first fall and be like, holy shit.
I was not ready.
I wasn't ready. And now I understand what you mean by that, right? And I think, too, though, like, we harp and preach, and I think sometimes with a lot of those older guys, like, it just goes in one ear and out the other in terms of some of the stuff we talk about. And we always preach, like, in our inner squads, right? Doubles out of the box, auto BID, right? Just playing the game hard, always looking for the extra 90 feet, because that stuff matters. It matters in college baseball, it matters in youth baseball, and it just trains you to be the aggressor, right? And the aggressor always wins.
That's what they want, is the aggressor.
100%, right? So when we go out to UTSA and we're not doing that stuff, right? And then we have Mikey, the volunteer assistant coach that's running it, and he's now chewing their ass at the end of it for not doing that stuff.
Because we prefaced him. We prefaced this guy and said, hey, our guys are going to go automatic ball and dirt if it, like, from the mound. Like, if it hits the dirt, they're stealing. If they get thrown out, we'll send them back. Hey, they're going automatic doubles out of the box. Hey, they're stealing probably every time. If they get thrown out, we'll send them back. Where they're going 2 bases on any ball. Like, if a guy on first and the ball's hit to the outfield, the guy on first is going 3. We'll send him back if he gets thrown out. 0.
Right, so when we're
Mikey's sitting there and he's like, I thought they were supposed to go doubles out of the box. And I'm sitting back there and I'm like,
well, they're supposed to.
Sick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure that had to sting a little for you guys, considering, that's kind of home base.
That's home, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, and in a way, though, it kind of, whenever he's relaying the same message that we preach to them all the time, it's kind of like Dad telling you something.
Yeah.
Right? You go home and Dad's like, you need to do this, you need to do that, and you're like, oh, whatever. And then you go home or you go to school and your coach tells you to do something, you do it, and Dad's like, well, I've been telling you to do that. Why didn't you listen? Right? It's kind of the same stuff. Yeah. Right? So it's just...
So a question I have for you, and it's just one that, I hadn't thought about until I was watching some of these showcases just online and kind of seeing kind of what happens and whatnot, and talking to somebody who, guys I went to school with who, went to the combine for the NFL or, had tryouts, so there's nobody in the stands cheering for you for a good, there's nobody there like, good job or whatever. There's none of that. In a vacuum like that, does it help to remove the parent from the kid sometimes, or like, what do you do because there's no one to look to at that point besides maybe your teammates, because even you're maybe not going to slap on the ass in a deal like that, right? So like, I think you got to be your own best guy. You got to be your cheerleader in that moment. You got to be, and that's so we try to build in these guys too. Is man, you got to be a dog.
Well, guys also got to understand
be a dog
too, and this is what I've told some guys is like, you got to understand what makes you good. And if you're a guy that can run, like we'll pick on Cam Logan. Cam Logan, one of our very, very good baseball player, right, on our 24s. Right, he's a guy that can run, and he runs extremely well. We've had him down to sub-4s, time to first from the right side.
Oh, shit.
Right, so he's a guy that knows, hey, me running and busting my ass down the line is something that is part of my game. whether it's him dropping a drag bunt down just to show, hey, like I can run really well, like that stuff you've got to know, right? And going into that stuff saying, if I can run, I've got to be stealing bags.
Every time.
Every time. If I'm a guy on the mound that knows my breaker's my best pitch, I've got to throw it.
A lot.
Right? So you've got to do that stuff to promote yourself.
If I throw 88 to 89 like Ryan Jesser, I have to throw the fastball like that as many times as I can.
I wanted to bring this up earlier, and I didn't, but it applies here. And I guess, and I could be wrong making a correlation on my own, but you guys have introduced like a point system to some of these boys. And we don't have to get into, I don't want to give away the sauce, right? But I guess in talking to my son, he's like, man, I could have got a point for this, but I didn't because this or whatever, So I guess that if they can learn that accountability through the point, is that why y'all do it? Or
so there's two. I'll let him describe his point system, and then I'll describe the one that I came up with. The one that I came up with is pure accountability. So now we have groups of guys. So it's like teams within a team, right? So we have the team, we have the organization, but now we have a team within the team. And so now you're paired with 3 other guys to where like, hey man, if you show up and one of your guys isn't performing that day, and we don't talk about performance in terms of the game of baseball. We talk about performance in the way that we compete and we play the game, right? And if one of your guys in your crew is not performing the way that we expect to perform, not only does he have punishment, but the other 3 have punishment now. So now it's a sense of accountability like, hey, brother, do your job. Because I don't want to have to run, or I don't want to have to do this or that because of you. Do your job. And that's what we're trying to build. Like, God, dude, we need guys that hold people accountable. We need people to hold people accountable. That's anybody. But we need accountability in this world and within this organization. We need accountability. And I can't see everything. You know what I mean? I need guys that are stepping up, being leaders within what we do, saying, you need more. You know what I mean? His point system is different. His point system is more about the game. I'll let him talk about that.
So we kind of, obviously we've talked about this before on the podcast. We have like the value system that we've created, right? Which that's something that we look at, that we evaluate at the end of the year. It's kind of a running tab. So the one that we have, so we have a whiteboard for my teams that sit in the dugout, right?
That's right, yeah.
So on this whiteboard, it has the different categories are hard contact, walk, RBI, run, stolen base, hit by pitch, and execution, right? So if you notice, there's nothing on there that talks about hits, right? Because it's such a subjective topic, right? Whoever's keeping Game Changer is the one that says, oh, that ground ball to third was a hit or an error, right? Yeah. And so for them, it's just stuff to promote the right things, to promote good baseball and just get away from like the subjective stuff. Right, so it's funny because you look at this stuff, and we've kind of used the phrase with the 27s of like, check the boxes, right? Like, how many boxes can I check, right? And so we'll send out like a hitter of the week each week. We didn't get one last week. We didn't play well enough for that last time we played. So, but it's funny because you look at this, the guys that have the best in terms of like they've checked the most boxes, and then you look at their numbers. It correlates. The guys with the most boxes are guys that's hitting the best, right? And it's also another way just to say, okay, how can I provide value, right, without getting hits?
Yeah. Because you could go out there, and that's what I love about it. Loved it at UTSA because we did something similar there. You could go out there and crush. I'm talking crush 3 baseballs. The best balls you've ever hit in your life. And all 3 get caught in the left center gap. And then another dude down the list could chop a ball straight into the ground and get an infield hit. Like, why are we rewarding the guy for the chopping in the ground when, like, that ain't going to play at 18 years old? Like, that's an out, right? Like, we got to reward the stuff that matters. You know what I mean? Like, go watch.
And it's good, too, because you start to see their mindset change a little bit. And that was the goal, right? To get them focused on the right stuff and just playing better baseball. And what's funny, too, because when I kind of
real quick, but if that chopper moved a runner, he might not get a point for a hard hit ball, but he might get an execution.
But that's the execution.
Okay, exactly.
So it's situational dependent. That's where the execution comes in. Is like, hey, I get down 2K. Like, obviously, no strike, 1 strike with a guy on first, less than 2 out. Like, hey, fuck, any time with a guy on first, I'm trying to crush the baseball.
Yeah.
Right. Let's say it's a no out, 1 out situation. Preferably no outs. Hey, with no outs and 2K, dude, if I just get it on the ground, like if we got a slow guy at first base that can't run or steal, If I get it on the ground and I move the guy, right, which in reality could be a double play ball, but if I move the guy, now it's execution.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha. That's one of that.
Anyway,
So it's funny though, because all this stuff like promotes like a better offensive team, right? It's allowing them to compete with each other and with themselves, but also for a common goal, right? It's funny because like I was saying, you start to see the mindset change a little bit, and these guys are like, normally with younger guys, you start to see them, they don't get a hit, right? Like now they're pissed off, and like now you're worried the whole day it may go to shit, right? But with with this, it's like you start to see their mindset change a little bit, right? Like they don't care that they walked or they got on first with a drop third strike because they just stole 2 bases and scored a run. So there's 3 points.
Yeah.
Right? So they're excited about this stuff of just making things happen and promoting good baseball.
They hit a pop up to right field, and most people would slam their bat and fucking get pissed off. Well, there's a guy on third base. They score the run, so now they get execution and RBI points. You know what I mean? So it clears the conventional baseball family from he went 0 for 3 today. I hate hearing that. I hate hearing that. Like when I text a parent and like lesson wise, or a kid that's on one of his teams, I don't text him about it. Just text a kid because I want to check with the kid. I say, "How do you do?" And they say, "I went 0 for 4 today." Well, no, I don't want to know that. I want to know, what did you do?
Yeah.
Hey, I laced 4 baseballs today. I got caught. Good. Do it again.
Yeah.
Hey, I struck out 0 for 4. Okay. You know what I mean?
I think with the younger kids, it's, baseball, right, especially for the kids that are my age, or my son's age, the game's gotten longer, right? And so now it's more of the mental part of it. So maintaining the stimulus is good. I think that's awesome. The accountability, becoming a better baseball player, all that is great. And so I want to come full circle with it, and we've got a few minutes left. But there's 2 things we didn't finish talking about was kind of what are you hearing from the coaches, right? And I think you were talking about velocity was the last thing. And then so let's talk about that, but then I also want to finish up with your guys that are getting looked at and talked to. And
I think like it kind of goes back to it. Like I say it all the time. I think people think I'm crazy. I honestly do. I think people think I'm nuts. You have to be big and strong. People do not understand like the level of what it is. I would just encourage people to go watch, man. Go watch that game in person. Don't go watch MLB. MLB's different. It looks like, to me, when I watch MLB baseball, it looks like it's happening in slow motion. You know why it looks slow-mo? Because those guys are just so big and strong, and they move so gracefully because of the big and strongness, and everybody at that level is that same way. You know what I mean? But at the college level, like, I went back home. I shouldn't say back home. I was at UIW, and I was there for the fall and a little bit like in the spring before we started playing. Mm-hmm. I went back and watched my high school play. And I looked next to the dude because 2 of us went to UIW from Johnson, and we were roommates. And we went to the game together, and I looked at him and I said, why did I ever make this game hard? I was like, dude, this is slow-mo. Like, this literally feels like it's happening at a snail's pace. Even now, when we go from watching, like, our guys play, whether it's the older guys or the younger guys, and we go to UTSA and go watch, I'm like, dude, this is different. Like, it's so crazy how fast guys move, how hard they throw, how quick relays happen, everything. And so, like, our guys, especially, like, when we go out there, we got a lot of good 24s. A lot of guys that are college-level baseball players in terms of skill set, right? When I say skill set, I'm talking just, like, within the game. They can field ground balls really good. They can catch the pop fly. They throw accurately, right? They command the fastball on the mound. They hit pretty good, right? They hit good for their size. And we asked the coaches, what do you think about them? Got to get bigger and stronger. What do you think about that guy? Got to throw harder. What do you think about that guy? Got to hit the ball harder. Because his swing's good, got to hit the ball harder. You know what I mean? None of it, zero of what we're getting in feedback is about baseball looks, right? How do I feel that? It's all it is.
Because everything is, I'm like, okay, well, we talk to these coaches all the time. Okay, what do you think? What's your takeaway? I like the way they play. They play hard. The kids compete. They play the right way. But they got to get bigger and stronger. Right? And again, like I said earlier, like, we say this
bigger doesn't necessarily mean taller, right? I mean, taller is awesome.
All right, let's clear. Hold on. Let's clarify this too. Okay, let's clarify this too. Like, like bigger and stronger for your size,
Yeah.
right? So like if you're already 200 pounds, like that's a good, like depending on your height and your size, that could be a good or bad weight. You know what I mean? Like if you're 5'6", 5'8", and you're 200 pounds and you're slow, probably pretty heavy. You know what I mean? But we probably need to lose some weight and get in shape. But if I'm 6'2" and 135 pounds,
That ain't it.
that ain't good, right? So bigger and stronger is just like, again, if you think about it, it's kind of generalized, right? But we're talking like if you come watch our 16s and 17s play, you're gonna see a bunch of string beans at that age.
Yeah,
we got to put weight on, right?
I don't want to clarify that because some folks are bigger and they think, well, I'm never gonna be.
No,
big.
we don't need you to. Well, okay, go look at Jose Altuve, guys.
Yeah.
Like the dude's yoked for baseball. He's strong as shit. Like if you watch his weight room stuff,
when he has that microphone on his or whatever on his under his shirt.
Shit.
The Yankees fan over here.
That was the best team in baseball all time.
But I mean,
2017
like,
Astros.
to add on to that too, like everyone, now it poses a question. We get it a lot, and even I, as a player, when I kind of went through this and I put 15 pounds on when I got into college, it's like, okay, well, I put this weight on. Now I'm going to be tight. I'm going to be slow. Every guy that I've ever seen, when you buy into, like, we had a kid walk in yesterday. Hadn't seen him in a while. He walked in.
He's like up 25 pounds.
He gained 30 pounds since the last time we saw him.
He looks incredible.
Yeah.
Like it is he went from a string bean to now he's got shoulders. You know what I mean? Like he's starting to sit like this, and like his legs are just like his shorts. Like there's no room. He looks like he's wearing fucking spandex, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, that's it. Like that kid, like. The first day we saw this kid, I said, that kid is going to play high-level baseball. And I'm not talking college baseball. Kid's going to be a draft eligible guy. Like, he's one of those freak athletes, right? And I see him do that, and I'm like, God, dude, like, I wish I did that at that age.
Yeah.
But so then I asked him, too, we're over here doing plyos, and I'm like, okay, obviously you put these 30 pounds on. How do you feel like you're moving? He goes, honestly, I feel looser. He goes, I feel like
I can move
my
better.
mobility is way better. Right? So it's like you start to put this weight on, and all the guys we've seen on the teams that have done it are moving better. Yeah. They're moving faster. And so it's like, don't be fearful of that. Now, I'm not saying you need to go slam Big Macs, because that's probably not the most efficient way to put weight on, right? But if you do it the right way and you get in the weight room and pound weights, like, you will be surprised how much your body can carry.
Okay, so you were saying something, I think that's great. And I'll tell you, the program that you guys have had the boys on, lifting, that's doing it the right way, right? Yeah. And there's, if you guys if folks have questions about how to do that, I'd recommend you guys give them a call. There's great workout programs designed to putting on weight the right way. But you were talking about, Garrett, bigger, faster. Give me that conversation, because when he told me, it was like, it just was such a great story to hear, but you got to get a kid commit. I don't know if he committed or got. You can't say talk about that, but I want you to talk about what your feedback was from when they saw that player a year ago, before you guys had him, to now, and what that.
Oh yeah, I told you that.
Because
that's pretty big time.
Yeah.
So Ryan Jester came in. We're only going to have him really for a year. Like it'll be a year this next month that he's been as a tribe guy. Came in late, but when we saw him at tryouts, it was like sitting 82, but like it was like, wow, like that's stuff, like it's good. And I was like, this guy's going to be game changer for us, and he's going to be a Division I baseball player. He's a left-handed pitcher, so like we get some favor. Us lefties get a lot of favor just in terms of velo wise and just like stuff. It's a little bit easy. I'm not going to say easier. I shouldn't say that. It's not easier, but we get a little bit more favor, right? And he went through this whole year with us. He's been with us all of 2022. We've put him on some stuff. He's trained with us, and at the end of the summer was touching 90. But he was one of those guys that wasn't getting recruited, and I was blown away all summer long. Blown away. I'm like, dude, like, how is it not getting recruited? How is nobody seeing this? And Coach Aguayo at UTSA kind of said the same thing. We were on the phone one day. He goes, man, like, some of these coaches are just lazy. He's like, if you don't know who this kid is, you don't do your job well. because like he was all over Twitter. He was all over everything. All it was like a text and a phone, like a DM and a phone call away from getting information from this guy and starting that connection, right? So I just told him, I was like, dude, we just got to stay on the gas. I was like, just stay on the gas, keep doing what you're doing, keep working hard. You're going to get there, right? And get some offers from some other schools and is like getting some traction. And I just stayed on UTSA about him. Like, you need to get him. Like, I'm telling you right now, like, you need to go get him. And Coach Hallmark hadn't seen him. Coach Hallmark didn't go watching. Coach Hallmark wasn't around, like, watching him this summer. And we went out to the UTSA showcase, and he was our best player that we had that day just based off of everything that had happened. And he's bumping 89 every single pitch. And he comes back out. We had him. He went to UTSA and threw at another showcase for them. And I was there, and Hallmark came up to me. He's like, dude, like, this is nuts. He goes, if you would have told me a year and a half ago, when I saw him for the first time, that he would be a Division I baseball player, I would have told you you're nuts. He's like, what you did to this kid is unfathomable. He's like, yeah, like he goes, on that day that we saw him the first time ever, he's like, yeah, he throws good. He'll be a college baseball player, but he ain't gonna play Division I baseball. He literally said that out loud. And he's like, when I came and watched him the second time, and I'm watching it again, just repeat what happened at our showcase this past month, he's like, I'm blown away. Absolutely blown away. He's like, what you're doing to these guys is like, I don't understand it. He's like, it's crazy. And so it's just, it's good for us. You know, we had our one day of like enjoying that, and now we're just back in the grind of like trying to get other guys to get there to that point. But it's a good reminder of like, hey, we're doing the right stuff.
And that's a kid that's obviously, he's bought in. He's doing his homework.
Yeah, this is one of those guys that is either showing up here because of our plyo wall. The camera can't see, but our plyo wall here, it was right down the road from me. And so he'll come here and do his shit on his off day, like his days that he's not training with us or practice. He'll come out here and do his stuff, right, and get it done on his own. We leave a tee over here for him. He'll come in and a bucket of balls, and he'll do his bat speed exit wheel train. Guys getting after it. You know what I mean?
Amen. Well, I think a lot of stuff to unpack. I think just some of the biggest takeaways are, kids learning to, I think not just buying into the system, but buying into the program.
Yep.
And seeing that long-term future. And they're kids, so they're growing, right? They'll embrace it.
Yeah.
I think you guys growing as coaches, right? You
Every
guys
day.
are new to this.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Big
But
piece of it.
it's good to have those kids getting recruited and to see the program working, right?
Yeah.
And so, thanks guys for taking the time. Any last words?
Stay after it, man.
Keep
Shit
working.
sucks. This is hard.
Keep
It's
working.
not easy.
We'll be back in a couple of weeks, folks.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all.